I've started a YouTube channel 4 different times. 4 times I've told myself, this is my year, I'm going to do it this time, and the first 3 times, I quit. Sometimes I would set unrealistic expectations of expecting myself to upload every single week, even though I had a busy life. Or on the opposite side, I would spend months trying to craft the perfect YouTube plan without uploading a single video. Ultimately, YouTube was a someday goal for me. And I know we all have our own version of this, something that we say, someday, I'll do that. Today, I want to tell you a story. This is a story for the younger version of myself. This is also a story for you, wherever you're at right now, to help you get started on your someday goal. Because for many of us, someday will never become today unless we get started right now. The year was 2017. I was in college for business administration, and I was working full-time to pay my way through school. That summer, I was supposed to do an internship for my business program. And so I interviewed around and I got an offer from an insurance company for an internship for the summer. The same day that offer came in, I got an opportunity to go work on a film set for the entire summer. I turned down the business internship. Little did I know that this seemingly small decision would have such a pivotal impact on the trajectory of my life. Now, around this time, I had started to really dive into learning filmmaking from YouTube. This was very early in the game, and so Peter McKinnon had just gotten started. I was like his 8,000th subscriber or something like that. And learning from these people on the internet and taking each piece of information and applying it to the camera that I already had was so exciting. And I said, hey, nothing better than a beginner being able to apply these things. And so I just started making videos. As soon as school ended, I uploaded a video every single week for the entire summer while working on that film set for sometimes 16-hour days. On those off days, I would make a YouTube video and put it out. I also found time that summer to direct and release my first short film, but then school rolled around in the fall and I just had to stop because school and full-time work and all of those things. Looking back, everything that I created during that time was so bad. The quality was terrible, but I was learning, and I was learning so quickly by actually applying rather than just passively soaking in information. At this point, nothing was holding me back. It was easy to start. I had no ego about my creativity. I was learning, and it was fun and exciting. Around this time, I was starting to think about what am I gonna do after I graduate? I was graduating in May, and this was about March. And I realized, I think I want to start a business. And so I sat down and I wrote a business plan. It was over 100 pages long, and presented it to my primary investors, who were my parents. And their investment was to allow me to live at home for 1 more year while I got this business off the ground. And I did. That year, I said yes to everything. I worked 60 hours a week. I invested every penny I made back into the business. We made over 50 videos for clients. And it was a crazy and wild year, but I just left YouTube alone. I didn't have time for it because I was growing my skill set so quickly. I tried to start YouTube again in 2020 and then again in 2022, but this time it was much harder. I suddenly had standards and expectations for my creativity, rather than just the creative freedom of being a beginner. I suddenly felt the weight of a professional needing to deliver a high caliber of work. Ultimately, YouTube stayed as a someday goal. Someday when I magically have enough time, or someday when I'm good enough at making videos, or someday when I actually believe in myself. It was the middle of 2023 and I knew something needed to change. I had taken on full-time employment during 2020 and I was still enjoying that job a lot, but I was keeping the production company going on the side, and that was like becoming a full-time job, and then I had another full-time job, and it was just too much. And so I said, I need to focus in on one thing. And so I picked video. When I left my job, I realized this was the only time that I was gonna have the opportunity to pursue this bucket list type item, this thing I would regret if I didn't do it. And that was to upload a video every single week for an entire year on YouTube. From the time I left my job in April until I hit publish on that first video on my birthday in late June, I was absolutely terrified. I was terrified I would choose the wrong niche. I was terrified that no one would watch. I was terrified that if people did watch, it would only be old acquaintances from high school who would ridicule me because I was sharing my life on the internet. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to upload consistently and keep up with the demands. A whole host of things. I was scared that I was so underprepared and didn't know what I was doing. At some point in the process, I realized I was never going to be ready, and so I just closed my eyes and hit publish. This is where you come in. Starting your someday goal is hard. And honestly, it might not be the right time right now for you to go all in on your someday goal. Maybe you have too much on your plate right now. Maybe you've got young kids or family commitments, or you're needing to work 2 jobs right now just to get by, or maybe some combination of all 3. I'm an advocate of addition by subtraction, so I would much rather remove commitments from an overpacked schedule and then replace them with things that are truly meaningful to you than to just pile more things on an already overflowing plate. Now, if you're in a place in life where you can do that, great, good for you, go for it. But for the rest of us, we tend to make a lot of excuses. Some of them very legitimate, others not so much. I made excuses for years before starting at all. But the truth is, no matter how overcommitted your life might be right now, whether by necessity or by choice, you, by nature of actually taking time to watch this video, have some autonomy over your time, even if that's 10 minutes of time and attention per day. There's this concept in the startup and product development world called the minimum viable product, or MVP. And this is basically the most simple version of a product, just enough to get it out to early customers and get feedback on whether this is a validatable idea, if this is an idea that you want to continue to do into the future. And I would suggest something similar for your someday goal. What is the minimum viable version of your someday goal? The thing that you can do on your worst day, no matter what. Because ultimately, some progress towards your goal is infinitely more than 0 progress. Now, people say that my videos feel so calm and peaceful and beautiful when they're watching them. And I am so glad that is the case. But actually making them, that process feels like absolute chaos to me. I am churning with anxiety while making videos. And it's simply because as soon as I hit publish, there is another deadline looming immediately. And I always feel behind. I feel like I can't get my creative juices flowing in time. And so I'm always playing catch up. That's a very stressful situation for me because I am such a systems-oriented, prepared person, and I haven't had a system for doing that. So the difference between starting, that was good. I got started. If I hadn't started, I wouldn't need systems. But now as I'm building, I need to build systems. What I've realized is with systems, I'm able to remove the thinking from it. And the more thinking I can remove from it, the less it feels like suffering, if that makes sense. Seneca said we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. And I think that's very true for me and YouTube. All that to say, to make this sustainable, I need to build some systems. Now, 10 months in, it's suddenly gotten to the point where I'm just having a very hard time making the videos. It's not even necessarily a lack of motivation. It's just that doing the work is extra hard right now. Nothing about it is exciting or even that fulfilling. And I think this is what Seth Godin talks about in his book, The Dip. His book claims that there are 3 types of curves in relation to our endeavors. 2 are the most common. 1 is the dip, and 2 is the cul-de-sac. The dip is a pivotal point in the journey towards achievement where the results are minimal despite considerable effort. This is the point where it gets hard, where all the initial fun is gone. The other type is a cul-de-sac, or dead end. In decision making, this represents a scenario where additional effort doesn't lead to significant results. So looking at these 2 models, I want to compare something quickly. So while doing YouTube, my return on investment for my time has been about $2 an hour over the last 10 months versus with my production company, because I've been growing that for 7 years now, my return on investment is over $100 an hour when I'm working on that. Now, on the surface, this seems like an absolute no-brainer. Clearly, one of these is making 50 times more for the same amount of time. Why don't you just drop YouTube and keep working on the production company? Well, I actually believe that the production company is not a dip scenario, it's a cul-de-sac. Average project rates have been going down rather than up, and marketing in general has been pivoting away from a more traditional production approach to much more social and user-generated content. My earnings have plateaued for the last 3 years, despite putting in significant additional effort to grow that number. On the other hand, YouTube seems like a dip scenario to me, that after the fun comes the challenging part, but over time, if you consistently upload over a long period of time with high quality, there is almost unlimited potential for growth and monetization. So during this entire time of creating videos on YouTube, I've had my production company as a safety net, and now it's time to take off the training wheels. Starting June 1st, I am going to freeze all future productions for my video production company to turn my attention fully to YouTube to make sure that I can build a full-time living on this platform. And I plan to document every step of the journey along the way. You as a viewer will still receive the same and even better content. You'll just see me monetizing it in some ways that align with my personal values. In some ways, this feels like a bit of a fresh start for me. So whether you're in a spot where you need to start on a someday goal, or if you're stuck in the middle of a dip like I am now, take this as your sign to just start.